Hey everyone, welcome to Allparts, Leo Quan, who's a badass. I'm your host today, Gary Lopez, and on our very first episode, we're setting the bar extremely high. My guest is a man whose bass lines have powered some of the most influential rock bands of all time. He's a world-class musician, one of the most respected bass players to ever step on the stage. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Rudy Sarzo. Welcome, Rudy. Thanks for joining us today. Honored to have you here.
Hello, my friend. How are you? I'm blessed. I'm blessed. How are you?
I'm having a great day so far, and it's just getting better right now, too. I want to start back when you first started playing because I know that
Yeah.
myself, when I started playing, I had like all kinds of influences, David Gilmour,
Yeah.
Jimi Hendrix, all
Yeah.
these people, right? So when you first
Yeah.
started playing
Yeah.
in your beginning of your musical journey, what were
Yeah.
the players that helped you develop your voice?
So I happen to come from the generation. I'm old and young enough that when I started, my heroes were inventing things. You know, like John and Whistle talks about the way that he plays. Well, he went to some show, and this is like really early on,
Right, right,
when things were just people were trying things, where there was a lot of, they were making things out of nothing
right,
because nothing really existed before that.
right.
So how do you get a sound? You got a sound in your head, or a certain situation is what I'm going to talk about the badass, how it changed everything for us. Uh, so John is talking about he went to see a band and he thought he heard a guy play in a certain way with his fingers. And then a couple of weeks later, he was talking to the guy and he says, "No, I don't play like that." So it was kind of like maybe the hall sounded like you would, the echo, the
Yeah, yeah,
things,
yeah, right.
So, you start getting ideas of how to do things a little bit different because you take some from, put it this way, at that point, when I first starting out, I took influences from everybody.
Awesome.
Everybody. I started listening to music. I'm 75, so was born in 1950 before rock and roll. So of course I listened to music. It was Latin music, and the bass was a big part of it. Like even in other cultures like Mexico, you have a lot of where the bass player does the rhythm. They have this guitarrón, the big basses,
Yes,
and
yes,
they do all the counterpoint and all that. So there's really no drummer in those
right,
bands.
right. So the
Mariachi bands
syncopation,
don't have,
so
yeah,
that is that where you had some syncopation develop at
a
that?
lot of syncopation. I
Yeah,
still do.
yeah. I
I
do.
still
That's what I
do. I
noticed.
think,
I saw a solo from a couple nights ago where, your syncopation
yeah.
is so outstanding. I'm thinking,
I,
well, where do
well,
you get that?
it's something that, yeah, it depends. It depends who I'm playing with. So I have to become aware. I mean, with Quiet Riot, my syncopation was there from the very beginning, even back in the Randy days. And that's how I got the gig because they wanted somebody who did not play with a pick on the beat, you know? And they wanted somebody who was, as they said, more like John Deacon.
Right,
Queen.
right,
They
right,
wanted that, somebody who could play with their fingers too. Even though John really recorded a lot with pick, but and performed with pick, but they were looking for that sound, that finger sound. And in LA at that time, there were not a whole lot of finger players. It was mostly guitar players who had gravitated towards playing the bass, or they were still playing with the pick, which is nothing wrong. I love that. I love playing with a pick, especially when I record. That's
right.
when I play with a pick because the transients on the recording,
It's so
they're
immediate,
right
right? The
there. Yeah,
attack is
yeah,
immediate. Yeah,
exactly. There's a certain attack, and then of course you have to later on when you mix it, you apply some limiters and compression, but still the original attack of the note is there. And when I first started playing, we didn't have the type of saturation on a track like we have nowadays.
right.
It's like trying to put your bass tone, and if you play melodic, which is what I'm back to where I came from, going
Mm,
back there, going back to my 60s and 70s roots of playing, trying to really cut through all of that with your fingers, unless you start using that really I mean, it works for a lot of people, but it's not my what I gravitate towards, which is more of that distorted tone, with
right,
real.
right,
It's
right,
it's great for people who really want to play like that because they own it.
right.
I could never in my head own it,
Right,
that type
right.
of
Yeah,
tone.
that's their that's their fingerprint. You have something
That
completely different from
that's their
that. Yeah,
DNA. That's what
yeah.
they do, and it's wonderful. But it's not what I do. That's not
Right,
what I grew up with. You
right,
know,
right,
I mean, I grew up with with guys playing flat wounds,
right, right. There was
flat
no other
wounds.
choice. That's what it was. Right,
Yeah, that's what we had. You know,
right,
we didn't have a set of roto sounds. That
right,
was the first round wound that I could buy in Florida into like maybe early 70s because it's all distribution.
right.
You know, how do you go to a store and you say, well, I read in a magazine that so and so uses these strings as well. We can't get them because we don't have them here. You know,
Right.
now now you can go to a
Anything.
online store and buy anything,
Right, right,
but not back in the day, which, in a way is great because you got to do the most with the least that you
right,
got available.
right, right.
You
Yeah,
know,
you're trying
yeah,
to make music. It's not about the actual instruments
yeah.
at the time, right? Yeah.
Having said that, we only had two choices basically of musical instruments, especially in Florida, because my my musical scene was very R&B and B
Mm.
and Latin music driven. This is our clientele. I started out in Cuban party bands. They were called quinceañeras. When the girl turned 15,
Yep.
they would throw a big party, and we didn't have any DJs back then, so it was, well, this
That.
nonstop music. So let's get three bands to play.
Wow. Wow.
And some great musicians came out of that circuit. One of them being Will Lee
Wow.
from the David
Wow.
Letterman,
Yeah.
orchestra, and his father was the dean of music at the University of Miami. So he had the finest education. So
Absolutely.
to
Wow.
to have a guy come into the scene where all of us were more like street players,
Sure.
meaning we learned by watching other musicians play. And Florida was Miami area was a really great source for the big bands because they
Wow.
they used they used to ship all the equipment in or out of the United States through Florida, Miami,
Yep.
you know, and they either started the tour or ended the tour there. So we saw everybody. Everybody came
Wow.
through, every year. So that was a great education going to watch the bands that you love and,
Yeah. Yeah.
playing live, And what happened is we had two choices of basses, really. We had a Fender Jazz or a Precision. Very few played Gibson. I had an EB, and
Right.
back in the day, the EB, which is now the SG renamed bass, it was headstock heavy. And
Right.
that was
Oh,
my first pro bass guitar. But I spent more time holding it up than
right.
actually
Right.
moving around. And so I sold that and got a 67 Jazz in 1967, you know.
Wow.
And as you know, because this is the reason why this was created because there was a need that just one or two people had. It was like all of us were having issues with the bridges slipping,
Mm.
And back in the day, when we would play in a club, everybody smoked.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
smoking was allowed. It was,
Right.
as a matter of fact, it was mandatory
Right.
that
To
you
be
were to smoke.
encouraged. Right.
Yeah, waitresses will walk by you with trays full of drinks, smoking, puffing the cigarettes.
Right.
There would be in the audience. You get off the stage, everybody's smoking everywhere, right? So
Right.
it means that your strings are going to get cruddy. All of the metal, your
Mm.
hardware, and your instrument, it starts getting corroded,
Oh.
and things start going south, especially in Florida with the humidity.
Oh.
If you
Right.
notice, a lot of the Florida, like myself, the musicians, we couldn't help it but play in a certain way. Like if you listen to Jamaican, like
Hmm.
reggae music, it's very staccato, boom, boom,
Right.
boom. There's no sustain, right?
Right.
That came from the strings, the humidity in where you're at. uh, creating mold, rust, everything on your strings. It wasn't until later on that I learned about boiling my strings. But I used to play some
Right.
flat wines because that's all we had available.
Right.
And and the only way that I could get through the night playing, 5 or 6 sets, was to lick my fingers to give
Wow.
it some, so I wouldn't feel like barbed wire that I was
Wow.
playing with, right?
Wow.
So you got that issue. Then you got the issue of the corroded, rusty uh, bridges that were slipping, and we used to take going back to the smoking situation. Uh, all the clubs had uh, matchbooks
Sure.
that
Right.
we
There.
folded, right?
Yeah.
To advertise the venue. So we take the matchbox, we folded it into a tiny little piece and put it underneath the bridge to
Oh
try
my
to
God.
keep it from slipping, right? You know
Yeah. Yeah.
the what you call it these things here.
Right. The saddles for moving around.
The
Right.
saddle. Thank you
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
much.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. No, yeah.
The saddles. Okay, to keep the saddles from slipping, right? But
Wow.
like because of the humidity, they would start crumbling. A couple of weeks later, they're all falling to piece. These
Right.
little things. So it was like a never-ending situation. So
Wow.
so this, I don't know the origin of how the need. I mean, there was a need, but somebody said, you know what? I'm going to make this because this is the solution to that problem that I guess everybody was having. How did that come about?
A couple gentlemen got together basically and saw that need, and really developed that idea. And it was a combination too of particular alloys they liked to put together. It's a zinc alloy, and they found that it just was very responsive. And so, yeah, like you're saying, at that time there were no upgrades really for anybody, right? I mean,
No, this was everybody's first upgrade.
right? Yeah, I mean
There,
there was nothing. So
yeah,
tremendous, yeah.
there's very few vintage basses that I've seen that have survived without having had one of these added.
Right.
I don't know, maybe somebody bought. I have two. I have a 59
Yep.
with the original bridge,
Wow.
and I got a 66 precision, both precisions with an original bridge.
Yeah. When you first got that on your bass, what was your reaction? Uh,
Well, I knew what it was going to do
yeah.
because I had seen other bass players
Right. Right.
raving about it, and I could hear that the sound changed. Now, especially on the guys who were still playing the flat wounds, it made the rusty flat wounds. It gave it not only resonance but sustain. It changed their tone for the better because it wasn't thuddy anymore. Now you can
Right.
sustain notes, and you don't have to play so many ghost notes,
Right. To fill in. Right.
which,
So yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
which became part of a style. We're
Right.
playing a certain style because our note is dying. Well, play another note, but maybe not a note, but a ghost note. Because you just don't want to like be playing all
Right.
that stuff. You just kind of like get it there. And so that helped us to actually became that push in our area, at least, Miami, because of the humidity and all the factors that we were dealing with, made our musicality move forward. It progressed it because
Wow.
it gave us what was missing as far
Incredible.
as, yeah, it gave us tonal uh, improvement. And actually, once the round wounds became available, that took it to the next level because now you got the badass bridge and you got the round wounds, and now you got sustain, you're cutting through, you got treble, even if you're playing with your fingers. And then around that time, you had the SVTs, not just the Fender
Right.
basement. Now you got an SVT. Now you're going to get the growl, and you also have the acoustic 360 bass,
Right. Right.
which Jackal popularized really,
Right.
especially in our area. I mean, I used to go and see Jackal play with the Wayne Cochran and CC Riders at the
Oh,
Newport Lounge. Before
wow. Amazing.
before
Right.
before he made his first solo record,
Right.
and then joined Weather Report. So
Hmm.
I could see this guy and I'm going like, Okay, I'm staying away from his lane because
Right?
I
There's
mean,
only
I
one.
mean, yeah, I mean, it wasn't just his technique; it was his knowledge
Right.
of how he was applying it to it. He was applying, he was being Jacko, just playing, R&B,
Mhm.
standard R&B, but
Right.
but
Right.
with Wayne Cochran, and it was like, wow, this is great. It's scary, but it's really inspiring. So I just
Mm.
we'll go see him just 3 or 4 nights a week
Wow.
in North Miami Beach. So there were a lot of tonal changes that started with this
Right.
being the first mod on any on a bass. Especially, it seemed like it catered mostly for Fender
Yeah,
basses.
absolutely. That's where they were. That was really they were going with. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think the
Yeah.
very first one was more of a recessed Spectre type, for
Yeah.
in there as well.
So you had to route
Yeah,
the body. Yeah.
exactly. Which
Yeah.
is fine if you have a set
You
neck, and that's
know,
but for a
I I
Fender,
re
no.
I recall having to do that
Yep.
to my bass. So it
Yeah.
sat in just because otherwise the bridge would have been too high
Yeah, you'd
and there would
mentioned
be
that
too
to me
much of a
before.
pitch.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I remember
Yeah.
doing that to my 67,
Mm. So once you got that on there, you found there's just so much more articulation, response, frequency response. So it must have definitely made it a little easier to play. And maybe you found, wow, this is totally, did it change? Did you play less, or was it just you found it was just easier and more dynamic?
It was not only easier, more dynamic, but also, we used to play 6 sets a night.
Wow. Yeah.
you know,
It's a long time,
45,
right?
yeah, 45 on, 15
Yeah.
off. That was our going to Berkeley.
Right, right,
You get that education, you get that experience,
right,
a really good balance of all of that, and you learn about professional ethics, about being a professional musician, because it's a whole different world now. You're not playing quinceañeras anymore.
right.
You got customers coming to the show, and you got a bar manager and so on, and especially when disco started happening, we were handed a list of songs to play. Say, okay, you're going to keep him dancing, no
Wow.
more smoke on the water, or no any Led
Right,
Zeppelin. No,
right, right.
it's all dance from now on, and
And
which
what
is
was
fine
that
with me.
like? Was it a any kind of jump for you musically, or you kind of because of your previous influences, that was an easy transition for you?
Yeah, because I was playing a lot of R&B anyway. So
Yeah,
the early disco, especially the early disco stuff, was mainly kind of like that blurred line between R&B
right.
and disco. Uh, and but see, I grew up playing with my brother, so it was kind of like a package deal. Uh, Mainly
Your
that
brother,
if
your
something
brother is older than you, younger than you?
no, no, he's younger. He's
Younger.
younger.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And it was kind of like, well, if I can't play with my brother in the band, then we're doing something else.
Oh, that's cool. Very
We're
cool.
doing that.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah.
the way that I was raised. By my mom and dad. So disco was great for me, but not so great for guitar players
Right.
because all
Yeah,
of a
I
sudden,
wasn't I wasn't a huge fan of it when it came out at the time. I was like, okay, it took me a while to kind of really
yeah,
appreciate the musicality of it, so to speak.
yeah, because most guitar players, especially late '60s, early '70s, they were leaning towards Deep Purple
Right,
and Richie Blackmore, Jimmy
right,
Page, Jeff
right,
Beck, all the shredders, all the guitar
right,
heroes.
right,
All of a sudden, there's no shredding, there's no guitar hero.
right,
It was just waka 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 on
right,
a wah wah, you know,
right.
and that was it. And meanwhile, bass players were doing like, I that's when I started slapping because I had to slap. Otherwise, slap or die, basically.
That's what I was thinking when I heard you a previous interview talking about playing in Chicago and disco. I thought, okay,
Oh yeah,
there
yeah.
must have been some kind of transition where you had to change his playing a little bit to adapt to some of that. That's the slapping. I understand now.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes. But
yeah,
but it was smooth transition. By then we
yeah.
had rotos. I was playing a jazz. I always thought that wow, all these great records with slap, discos, they must have been recorded with alembics, and they were not.
Right,
It was
right.
basically precision.
Wow.
You know?
Right.
which I can hear it now when I
Right,
listen back
right.
to it. I go like, oh, it's got that mid-range honk to it, and then the tone and the slap and all that. Yeah, yeah.
That's
Speaking of slap, I have the last Marcus Miller Fender to leave the factory, and as you know, that comes with a badass
it does. That's
bridge. Yeah,
fantastic. Wow. Yeah, I got
yeah,
a chance.
yeah,
I got a chance to meet him at NAMM
yeah.
and also present him with an award. He's
That's
wonderful.
right. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
wonderful man. Of course,
Yeah.
incredible talent.
Yeah.
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 I got another
Yeah.
question
So,
for you here,
yeah.
if I can. So, when you performed at the Back to the Beginning concert, which was
Mhm.
amazing, by the way, just incredible. What was it like to play up there? I mean, I know you've played with everybody in the world, but to play with that super group that you were playing with at the time, Ronnie Wood,
Oh,
um,
God.
I mean, God, there's so, Steve Tyler, Morello, all those people.
Yeah.
What was it like?
It was fun. I mean, everybody went there for the same reason I went there without me knowing that everybody else was going there for the same reason as me. Meaning that when I got the invitation, I saw it as the best opportunity for me to face to face to Ozzy and Sharon, thank them for my career because they were the ones who opened the doors for me through Randy
Right,
Rhoads. Randy is
right,
the one that introduced me to them.
right,
And so, yeah, and I always say there's three people responsible for all my blessing in my music career. I mean, for giving me the opportunity, to fulfill that. Uh, Ozzy, Sharon, Randy, and of course God, but
right. Sure.
God takes care of everything. So, you know, and I'm a Christian, so I can't help it. That's
Well,
that's
well,
that's the way I that's
that's how
that's
you roll.
that's the way.
Right,
Yeah, well, that's the way I get up every morning and go to bed. That's me. It's
right
it's
on.
who I am.
Right on. Well, one thing I
Yeah.
noticed, like in all your performance, man, you don't leave anything on the table. You play like it's like your life is on the line, right? I mean, you really put everything into it.
Yeah.
What is,
Yeah.
I mean, how do you do that for this long? I mean, do you have any routines, or is it just more of a mental thing or something that you just,
It's many things. But at the core of it, it's always now.
yeah,
And now to me, it's the same as it was almost 50 years ago when I first started playing with Randy in 1978. That's 48 years ago.
yeah,
And Randy I learned so much from him. And in the process, I learned from him that while we were playing in clubs in Los Angeles and trying to get the attention of record companies, and especially when punk and new wave came in and we got pushed out of the strip into the suburbs, and our fan base could not attend because they were too young to drive.
wow,
So we would get like maybe 10 people
right,
in some club in Altadena. And and I would look at Randy, and he's just giving it all he's got, everything. If you look at a photo, there's just a few photos around
mm,
on the internet of Randy with Quiet Riot in some club in 1979 playing for 10 people, and Randy about a year later playing with Ozzy. It's the same guy playing in front of 10,000 people as it is playing in front of 10 people. And I learned that from his example, that
wonderful.
it's that if you really want to be at that level, those are that's the consciousness you have to plug into.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, you answered my question because I was going to ask you what was maybe one thing that Randy imparted upon you upon his playing, but it sounds like that's a pretty significant
Yeah, it was not
thing
a,
that
it
he
was
did.
not a one thing. I mean, I had to write a book
Sure. Yeah.
about it in order to put it into perspective,
Right. Sure. Sure.
of, of, of what it was like to play with him. And that is the best education I ever
Right.
had.
Wow.
You know.
When you're not playing, not performing, what do you listen to for music, or do you when you're just chilling out?
Oh, I do. Lately I've been writing music. I've always been writing, but now, there's you know, I don't have to rely on a band as much as I had to.
Right.
And and I'm just doing it for my own musical satisfaction and gratification. Well, some people label it yacht rock, but to me, yacht rock is that era is has the best not only compositions but the best talent and the best engineering. You can hear everything clearly, especially the bass.
Right.
I'm a big fan of the Doobie Brothers and Michael McDonald, especially era,
Yep.
where the bass player is just playing all these incredible bass lines, and you can hear it.
Right. It's a part of
It's
the
not like
song.
stacks of yeah,
Right. Right.
it's not stacks of Marshall,
Buried.
varying all the frequencies. You can hear everything. So I'm basically writing and recording music that reflects that. I've
Awesome.
been playing, there's songs like, again, going back to Quiet Riot and the Randy Rhoads era, I was playing Slate Black Cadillac. Every time I play that song on stage with Quiet Riot, it's like, to me, I connect with that period.
Right.
I connect with Randy being on stage and, and Kevin and,
That's
and Drew Forsythe playing drums. But of course, I'm playing it now. But that doesn't mean that I cannot connecting to the consciousness
right.
that existed when the first time that I played that song.
Right.
And so I do say so now I have the opportunity to go back to my roots, go back to more to my Miami style of playing, uh, because that's part of me that
Right.
nobody has really heard me play, which is
Wow.
fine
Well, I hope at some
because
point you feel comfortable enough to share it to
oh,
some people. Yeah.
I will.
Awesome.
I mean,
Really.
yeah, within the next couple of weeks, I'm going to be releasing it. Just stream, not an. There's no record deal. I'm
Yeah.
not looking
Right.
for a
Right.
record deal. I'm just looking to release music, create music. I already have a band.
Right.
I'm already on touring, so
Right.
it's not like I'm trying to go solo or something like that. No, I'm
Sure.
I'm I'm
Sure.
just I'm just trying to enjoy my life and as a musician and be creative
That's
in a
great.
way that I haven't been creative or allowed to be creative because of the music industry changing.
Yep. Yep.
Less people are making original music,
True.
but now this is an opportunity to really be creative. You know,
Fantastic. That's so great to
yeah,
hear. That's so great to
yeah.
hear. Well, I can't thank you enough. I know your time is precious, and I know that you're touring with Quiet Riot now, right now, right? Are you to get a little break? Or you going back on the road another week or two or
Yeah,
something?
yeah, we go out on the weekends and during the week I'm home and I just
Nice,
work on
perfect.
on new music and just hang out with my family and love life. You
That's
know,
awesome. So glad
just
to
this
hear.
be grateful for all my blessings.
Uh,
On and off the stage.
That's wonderful. Well, I can't thank you enough again for spending time talking with me today, Rudy.
Well, thank you so much
Um,
for the award, Gary. I mean, this is I mean, because I feel so connected to this. This was a game changer.
well,
You know,
you're so deserving of it, and we're so glad we are able to get it to you.
and not only a game changer for me, but a game changer for all the bassists who were suffering.
Right. Thank you so much. It's such a great story.
This,
Thank you.
thank
It's
you so much,
awesome.
Gary.
Peace. I
God
hope to
bless.
talk to you soon. Take care now.
I'll
Thank you
see you
again.
soon. Okay,
Bye
God
now.
bless. Bye bye.